Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
Hello. Welcome to... Everybody, please, quiet down. Welcome to the show. We got a great comedy show lined up for you tonight. Coming to the stage, getting right into it, is our first act. He calls himself The Gardener.
Hey, thank you so much. You're too kind. I call myself The Gardener because, you guessed it, I do jokes about gardening. So let's just get into it, shall we? All right. So, why did the gardener change his mind about gardening even though he wasn't fond of it? Anybody? Because the plants grew on him. No good? Okay, how about this one? How would trees calculate a square root problem? They use a logarithm. Jeez, a tough crowd. Oh, okay, moving right along. Why did the gardener decline the job offer? Because the celery was very low. Oh, man. Well, what kind of socks does a gardener wear? Anybody? Garden hose. Well, okay. Thank you for the tomatoes.
I will buy you a garden where your flowers can bloom. Wow, I'm a little ashamed to even go on after that opening. But hey, here we go. We're going to move on. We're going to trek forward with a gardening metaphor episode. Yes, that's right, gardening. And you might be asking yourself, why gardening? Well, partially because my wife and I have gotten bit by the gardening bug recently on our place, and we're trying to bring back a bunch of our lawn and flowers and plants and things that have been kind of neglected over the years. And it's been a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, and it really kind of applies. A lot of the stuff that I'm finding out through going through this, it applies a lot to your art and your art career and your mentality. So let's get into it a little bit and let's talk about it. It's crazy because as we've been going through this whole process, you just start to realize how difficult it is to actually keep things alive and how quickly they can just die or wither or get taken over by a pest or something like that without giving them your attention and being aware of what's going on around you. And look, we didn't let it get to a point where it was crazy, but it was also years and years before we got the place of probably a little bit of neglect and, not really knowing what's going on, what should be planted where, what's happening on this side of the place. And we're just learning all of that, and we're just kind of troubleshooting and bringing things back to life. And it's really been very satisfying. And I kept thinking man, this is similar to stuff that you have to do with your art career and your business. And just, tending to different areas and elements of your mindset, your strategy, fatigue and energy, everything. It's just crazy. So I just wanted to touch on it a little bit and talk about this as a metaphor for keeping your art practice strong. So let's get into the first one. your garden, like everything in life, especially your business and your art practice, it will start to change and wither and die with neglect or without your attention, without you keeping an eye on what's going on. If you don't know that a certain area of your garden is not getting the right sun, or if you don't know there's a pest that's starting to take over your plant, or you don't know that part of your sprinkler system is not working and it's not getting enough water to that area, if you don't know that, if you're not aware of it, it's going to start withering and dying. And I find that very similar with your art practice. Like you'll get to a place where you're like, yeah, I'm good. I've gotten myself up, I'm represented by this gallery. I'm making some fair sales here. I'm on like this marketplace where I'm getting some good attention. I've been putting up pieces every week. It's good. I'm just going to put it on autopilot for a while. Well, if you do that and you don't kind of give it the water or the sun that it needs, if you don't give it your attention, then, you're not going to be aware of like an algorithm change on this art marketplace or like new trends, or if management changes or the CEO changes and they change their strategy and all of a sudden you're not getting as good a visibility as you used to, or let's say the gallery stops kind of paying attention to you because you stop bringing them new work or you stop marketing yourself with them, or some other new artists come up and, they're focused on them and you're just not showing them your stuff. You're not really making them excited about your work. Well, you can kind of fall to the wayside. A lot of these things are very similar. It's like, unfortunately, things need your attention. You can't just get on autopilot. You can take a break from time to time, but it's just good to take stock of what's going on in your business as a whole and go, okay, what have I been neglecting? What have I looked over this month? What am I kind of on autopilot with? And, you can write a list of these. You can go over them. For example, with me personally, I focus so much of my time and energy on my online sales, and that's, where most of my bread and butter comes from. But I do still make money and make sales through galleries and through, my studio and through my own website and word of mouth and, different marketing things that I will pursue or have pursued in the past. And if I get too much on autopilot with just doing and focusing on art marketplaces, then that other side kind of withers and dies. And all of a sudden you look and you have this like barren section of your resume where you haven't done any shows or you haven't gone out there and checked out any new galleries or any new people or supported anybody out there or looked into new grant opportunities. So that's something that I have been neglecting a little bit. It hasn't been huge, but I'm planning on kind of getting back into that and giving it a little bit of water or, putting some sunlight on it and getting that to grow, because you want to have all cylinders firing at once. You want to have, your online game strong. You want to have your brick and mortar game strong. You want to have your marketing strong. You want to have your own personal health and diet and energy levels strong, because all those kind of go into making a strong system. The next gardening metaphor I want to talk about was with pests. Like my wife and I have this great birds of paradise tree, and it's just been kind of dying slowly and withering and browning, and the leaves have been turning in. It's getting kind of sappy. And we realized as we got up closer and we started to prune it a bit and figure out some problems with our watering source, which I'll get into in a second, that it was getting neglected and there were weeds growing around it. There were taking all of its energy and its nutrients. And it was infested with these bugs that are in there, and they're giving off this, it's like a sap, but it's a byproduct of them, eating and thriving off of the plant. So we had to kind of get into that. And it just reminds me of some similar things with, the art world, your art practice, or, if you're putting yourself around the wrong people, or if you're letting social media kind of take away your energy or diminish your positivity like I do. I go on social media sometimes and I feel drained. Some days I go on there and you get the FOMO or you get the imposter syndrome, or you just have some people who are giving you some negativity that you haven't really been able to devote time to, boundaries with, that kind of stuff. And it's just leeching off of you or sucking your energy or absorbing your energy. Or maybe you've got people on your emails who are asking you to do things, favors, things like this you have to do that's taking your attention away from stuff that you need to do. Or maybe you have a little bit of a family or friend issue of some people that really aren't serving you recently, and it's just become a little toxic. All those things can do the same thing that these weeds and these bugs can do. They can take your energy. They can suck your life force out of you. I know it's kind of a dark little picture there, but it's true. Those things can really get into your psyche and send you down a little bit of a negative spiral. So that's something that's important to devote some time to, is clearing out those weeds and those parasites and bugs that are feeding on you and taking your energy, sapping your life force. So that's an important one too. And next, moving on to one of the problems we found, and it ended up being very empowering, but it was kind of freaky at the beginning, is we figured out that our sprinkler system was just not working. Like the water wasn't coming out. It wasn't hitting these plants. Some of these plants were getting some water. Some of them were getting the wrong places. Some were not getting anything. And through a little happy accident, I discovered that one little piece was off, and we did a test, and we found out that the water was pooling out and just being wasted. So not only were we wasting water, but it wasn't going to the right places. So I dug it up myself. I figured out how a lot of the stuff with the heads. I reattached this portion of the sprinkler system underneath, put the dirt back on it, repacked it so it wasn't going anywhere. And we tested it again, and boom, like magic, everything came to life. All the water sources, it was like it was all coming through that one area, and it wasn't being able to get to the other sprinklers because it was pouring out of this leak. So we fixed that. All the water got dispersed evenly everywhere, and we have no idea how long that's been happening. But we realized how important it is to just keep an eye on this stuff and figure it out. And don't take it for granted. Oh, it's working. This system's working. And it was also very empowering for me to figure out how to fix it myself, because I thought we were going to have to hire a specialist. And we're like, you know what? Let's just get our hands dirty, figure this out ourselves. And we did it for free. Now everything's working beautifully, and we've got this great system in place. And I'm sure everything's going to start coming back to life. And this might sound stupid to you if you don't have a garden or a house, or you're not into that kind of stuff. And, for me, it might have been the same in the past, but it's very important to take care of your shit. Like, take care of your house, take pride in your house, take care of your business, take pride in your business and your art. And so, yeah, if there's one major flaw in the system down the line, and I'm talking about you now, I'm talking about you and your energy and your diet, in your exercise levels, in your mindset, if you're not meditating, if you don't have your mind right, or if there's a cash flow problem that's depleting from other resources that you could be spending on, getting materials often, or spending a little money here and there to do marketing. If there is something down the line that is broken and that's taking away from those other areas, then your system's going to have a problem. There's going to be an overall systems failure. It's like you have to really make sure that you're on top of every aspect of your art career and everything that you're doing. Your art productivity, your marketing, your business strategy, your interactions with people and collectors and all that needs to be checked from time to time and needs to be given some love. So just like you're giving your garden some love with water and fertilizer and maintenance and pruning and all that stuff, it's the same thing with your art career. Which brings me to the last one that I want to talk about, which is pruning, like I just mentioned. Sometimes you have to cut away certain branches or leaves or areas of your plant or tree that are either dying or they're taking up space or they're not really thriving because they're just decaying and taking up other resources. So pruning is very important, or they're just getting in the way of things like the birds of paradise, the same thing. There's parts that are dying and just are in the way, and it's like choking the rest of the plant. So you have to prune it from time to time to allow it to grow. And I feel like that's similar with art as well. Sometimes you've got stuck in a block, or maybe you're stuck in a little bit of a rut as far as, your style or your creativity, or getting some sort of new product out there, new pieces out there. Maybe it's become a little stale, and sometimes you just need to do a little pruning. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to clear out that. Like, I know I have gone over some of my past work, and I'll look at certain pieces and I'll go, you know what? This piece really isn't up to my standards anymore. So I will just not prune it, I won't cut it, but I will paint over it. I will reuse the canvas or the surface and turn it into something new. It's almost like pruning the piece and letting some sort of new creation come out of that. I'm still using it. A lot of times I'll even use the surface texture, and that'll be a part of the new painting. So it's kind of evolving and growing out of that. But it's also from a practical standpoint of looking over your old stuff, seeing like, look, I've got a lot of inventory here. Some of this stuff is not my best. Some of it is not serving me anymore. So I will use it and I will turn it into something new. And that's very important from time to time. I always want to have my stuff be, the cream of the crop, consistency across the board. And you can do that with your art marketplaces and stuff too. If something is kind of looking bad in your portfolio, you can take that down, or you can mark it as not for sale or whatever it is, but take it off there. If it doesn't fit with your other inventory, then, it's time to maybe reevaluate, take some of these things down and highlight all the pieces that do really showcase you in the way that you want to be showcased. So this has been some fun little metaphors and analogies with gardening. And, it sounds stupid maybe on the surface, but it's really true. Like treat your life, treat your business, treat your art as if it's a garden, and just be giving it the proper seeds, fertilizer, light, love, water, all the stuff that it needs. And if you're on top of that and you're looking over all these other little aspects of your business and your art career, then they're going to thrive. And they're going to work very strongly as a unit. And that's what you want. Because sometimes success is just one little tweak away. And sometimes, over time, you just forget about stuff that has been working well for you. It's not always going to work well for you. Like a website that may be 15 years old that was killing it 15 years ago might not serve you anymore. Maybe you need a makeover. Maybe you need just a couple little tweaks or something, or somebody to get in there, an IT person to get in there, or an SEO expert to get in there and tighten up the screws, So all these things are very important. Hope you liked it. Hope you got something out of this gardening episode. And you guessed it, we will catch you all next time.
Okay. I know you haven't been with me so far, but let me just do one more. Let me try this one on you, okay? What was the lettuce told to do at a garden party? Nothing? To turnip the beat. Wait a minute. They like me. They really like me. I knew I'd get them eventually.
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.